Do you dream about launching your own business? Are you working hard in your career but don't feel you have the skills to reach the next level? Do you need something which works around your busy schedule? We're here to tell you that you can have it all. Find out more about the Roadmap Alternative MBA at www.roadmapmba.com, including free worldwide shipping and our 30-day full money-back guarantee. We care about equal access to education. We care about building a better world. Our mission is making business education accessible. Join us.
Hello and good morning. Today is Friday the 7th of October 2022. My name is Steve Pugh, and every Friday morning we do a bit of a live stream to talk about business topics from the week, stuff that I've been up to, and also just share some ideas of stuff that might be interesting to you. So if you get involved, it should pop up on the screen, and I love it when people do. It just gives me someone to talk to. And I broadcast here from the northeast of England, but we go to, and we have users of the Roadmap MBA in 34 different countries now, as far afield as Ukraine, to China, to Kenya, to America. And just as part of trying to make business education accessible, essentially what we're trying to do is just build a community of people that are looking to make a better life for themselves and give them the real kind of tools and stuff to do that. So we do a mix of online and offline kind of content and programming just to really help you kind of do that. And in a simplistic form, if you want to kind of get a feel for it, in some ways, if you know the company Peloton that allow online on-demand kind of fitness classes, what we're looking to do is build the Peloton of business education. But it's all about overcoming barriers to education and learning in your career in a way that traditional business education is massively expensive. It takes a huge amount of time and commitment, in some cases to almost kind of give up your job as well, which isn't kind of cool. But also there's loads of barriers to do with the complexity and entry requirements and lots of other kind of stuff that we look to tackle. So one of the ways that we do it is through Livestream. And we have myself, we have a lady called Ashley King, and huge apologies to Ashley that when I clicked the button, because I don't have a team when I do all of this, it accidentally sent to her account, but I cancelled it and started again. But Ashley, apologies. But I have a fabulous person called Ashley King, and she presented on Tuesday mornings. And also we have a guy called Ifeanyi or Tony who presents on Monday, and his next show is on Monday kind of coming up. But what we're really trying to do is give a platform to good, smart people that have a voice to say and something to say in terms of their community and their just business and their life and their career. And that's essentially what we're looking to do. That although it's me that started it and paid for it all and kind of set it up, it's not about me. It's about trying to build something bigger for the future. So judge us in a few years' time when hopefully, I'd love to kind of see where we go. So what I try and do on a Friday is pick a few different topics that are relevant to stuff I've done this week. And these all get clipped up and go onto YouTube as well. So if you ever kind of catch up on Instagram, which we broadcast to, but also LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and many others, please kind of just get in touch and say hello. It always kind of means a lot as well. And then actually, if you're ever interested, just in a free copy of the course, if you go to roadmapmba.com, we have something called guest list, which is the guest list at roadmapmba.com. And basically the whole point of making business education accessible is that if you want to work on your business or career and just learn the skills to help you make that next step, basically we're looking to bring free business education to the world. That's our mission. That's what we're looking to do. So honestly, please feel free to reach out or DM or that kind of thing as well. Just shout outs this week. What I love to do as well is people within the community have just made some really kind of good progress and stuff this week. A guy called Neil Elton, who's been coming to a number of the kind of different sessions, fabulous kind of marketing manager, was looking for work and actually starts a new job on Monday. So Neil, well done. And actually just someone else called Fina Watson, who has been doing the course for about a year now. Fabulous artist, does loads of really kind of cool stuff. And basically her commissions are almost sold out now for what she does. But the point is, I just love it when people genuinely make progress. That's the whole point of doing all of this. And then even when I talk about my business stuff I've done, stuff goes wrong all the time. It did this morning. But the point is, it's just little baby steps. It's just to keep going, learn from it, and just, how we just work together to help build the dream or whatever it is for you. So topics I'm going to talk about today. What is a board meeting? Although this sounds silly to some people, especially, if you're newer to your career, what is one? What do you have to prepare? What do you expect? What's the difference between an executive board member and a non-exec? and stuff to do with that, which I thought would be quite interesting. Something which relates to sports, but business and also music, is how to transition from just relying on your raw talent and ability to help get you through your career, which I think, to be honest, is most people. But actually, how can you actually start to learn the tools, tricks and things to really just become what you class as a professional in whatever you do? Because the raw talent will get you probably 70% of the way there, but to really get to the top level, even your famous singers and athletes, it's when they start to take it seriously and look at the tiny little marginal gain improvements to make a big difference. So I'm going to talk about that one. In terms of management, I'm going to talk about something called winning the dressing room. So this is where you might have all of the fabulous kind of MBA level information and management techniques and how to build a team and do stuff. But actually, unless you take your team with you and engage them in the process, you are going to fail. And I've seen that recently. And then last but not least, I'm going to do a really quick segment on different types of salespeople as well, because you have hunters who go out and find new opportunities and discover where they are and meet people for the first time and do that kind of thing. And then you also have farmers who are less maybe proactive, but they're just very good at nurturing what they have and bringing it to fruition. And often in a business, you need both. So I'm going to kind of talk about that as well. But at 9:06, if you get involved in the comments, please let me know. That will pop up on screen, and I love to just interact. And I also love it when people dial in from different parts of the world as well. So please kind of let me know where you're watching from, if at all. And then last but not least, my next guest on the podcast on Monday is a lady called Susie Guthrie, and we're going to talk about leadership and development. I've actually done projects with Susie in the past before. Really great lady, entrepreneur herself, and actually just talk about leadership and development and some stuff that might be interesting. And if it is, feel free to join the podcast on Monday. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to go first one. So I'm glad the pen worked. I switched to new pens recently just because you couldn't read the smaller ones on camera. Actually, it worked. It's cool. So one of the topics that I wanted to really kind of talk about is that I love to get inspiration from different people around the world, from lots of different backgrounds. And my mentors are people like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, that kind of thing, just because I'm a basketball player in terms of sports. But actually also I love to watch people I just respect that are just really good at their stuff. And I was actually listening to Apple Music on Wednesday, and it was the drive back from North Yorkshire to Newcastle, where I'm based, and I was listening to an interview with Billie Eilish. So Billie Eilish, if you know who she is, that she was a teenage pop sensation, but she writes all her own music with her brother and they create it, and incredibly kind of talented, which is what you've got there. But what's been really interesting is that as she's gone through her career, she's now arguably the biggest star in the world. I think she headlined Glastonbury. And actually, she said herself that actually now she's started to do the things which make the difference between just relying on raw talent to survive and do your tasks and do stuff, to actually becoming more professional in terms of the way that she does her breath work, to actually become a better singer, to actually start to work on techniques to be able to control her voice in different ways. And then even down to when she performs on stage, she loves to kind of bounce around and do all this really energetic stuff, which is fine if you do it once. But if your job is to do that 100 times or 200 times per year, your body's going to break down, your muscles are going to get sore. So you actually have to take a professional approach to things like your diet, your activity, your sleep, your that kind of thing. And one of the things that I thought would be really interesting to kind of talk about is the way to use that and actually to look at how we go from raw talent to pro, and actually things that you can do that really kind of make a difference. So the first one is actually to look after your body. This is probably most applicable if you think about athletes. So for instance, the NBA, if you play 82 games or 100 games a season, if you're really good and you get into the playoffs, that's a lot of wear and tear on your body. It's tiredness, you'll have sore Achilles, basically your body starts to break down because you're working really hard. But this is also true in business, and I've actually kind of seen this myself, that if you're working really hard, you might be putting the hours in, you get stressed, you get tired. And when that happens, your decision-making capacity and ability does drop. So actually just looking after your body is really, really important. In business and careers, that can be to do with taking time for yourself, taking breaks, sleeping properly, but also eating properly and looking after your health. But actually there's a difference between, for me, what's really funny is that even just, I'd say in the past year, that I'd actually gone through most of my career on kind of talent, if that makes sense, just the ability and desire to do stuff. And then actually learning and the ability to go out and figure stuff out and bring it in. But actually now it's the silly things that I do that really make a difference to try and get to that next level. It's go to bed at 9 o'clock. It's to try and cut down my McDonald's intake and actually just do things like trying to do fitness classes, but I do it as a part of my routine. Not just because it's something I want to do, although it is something I want to do. It's because I actually know that it will improve my business performance. And this is something that whatever it is that you do, and athletes do it, and singers do it, and business people do it, really kind of look after your body, and it will help you sustain a higher level of performance for longer, but also reduce your stress levels and generally make you fitter, happier, and kind of healthier. Next is actually to do with improving your skills. So obviously we have a business course, which we like to promote, but actually the more that you get good at something, again, singers, the ability to control your voice in different ways or use different techniques or almost expose yourself to different areas. In business, it's so true that you don't know what you don't know. And there will be lots of management techniques and things out there or sales techniques that you can use to help promote your company. And what we're really looking to do, the British Olympic teams call this marginal gains. It's to make lots of small 1%, 2% improvements over time to just help you get more and more and more efficient. But the way often to do that is that if you take sales as an example, people might say that if you want to increase sales, well, just work harder and pick up the phone more. And that's true, but there's still some strategy thinking behind it, that actually what you really want to do is review the strategy, review your sales conversion rates, and actually look at, are you converting the amount of sales that you should be based on the amount of stuff that you bid and who you bid against? Because actually, if you should be winning 30% of your jobs if you bid against 3 people, but you're actually only winning 10% of your jobs, and this is in a tender kind of scenario. But the point is just doing more activity, working harder and relying on raw talent won't help you get there. Through actually looking at your policies, procedures, your assumptions when you bid work, your cost base, your suppliers, and lots of really cool stuff. If we can get your conversion rate back to where it should be or even higher, then you want to improve your activity. But the point is, if you don't know how to do that and how to really review your sales process, it's going to be really difficult to really reach that top level. And that's where just having the extra kind of knowledge and tips and tricks to then apply to your talent and enthusiasm kind of will go a long way. Next is actually kind of learning from others. I'm 39 now and I actually had a basketball game last night. But one of the big things that a lot of sports teams do is that you have your first team squad, or in the NBA, you have your kind of top 8 players. But they often actually employ veterans on the team. And these are people that have been there, done it, have tips, have advice. So although I am a qualified basketball coach, when I was with the guys last night, we've got some guys coming through that are 18, 19, really talented people, a lot fitter and faster than I am. But because I've been around for 20 years more, I can give them tips and tricks to become better, more efficient players, which helps them get better. But the point is that's also true for your business or career. There are so many people that you can learn from and just pick their brains and ask mentors or people that you like or respect. And actually just being honest and saying, look, I'm struggling with this, what should I do here? Just learning from others will just take you so much further forward, because actually there's no point trying to learn something from scratch if someone else has been through it before. And it's just that kind of idea that you're not on this journey alone. Your community, whether you realize it or not, or your network, most of them probably will happily kind of help you. I'd say get advice from people that probably know what they're talking about first. But the point is you can really kind of learn from others, and just knowing how to play the game will make the difference. So last but not least, just if we were to kind of draw this out, as an engineer, I do love a graph. What we're essentially looking for, most people as they go through their career they go to school, some might go to university, they start their career and they start to progress. But you do get to a certain point where it starts to plateau, it starts to flatten off. This is arguably how far your raw talent can get you, if that makes sense. And what we're really looking to do is really kind of learning the tools and tricks and tools to kind of help you move forward, to actually, figure out what is business strategy, what is marketing, what is sales, what is leadership and management, and what are the things I can do to help inspire others and become more effective. What we're hoping to do is just allow you to actually make the difference, to actually reach that top level, and actually just starting to treat your career as a professional as the most important thing in your life, and making decisions that will help you do that, which does include taking time for yourself, eating properly, sleeping properly, mindfulness, learning, and almost all of those kind of things. This is how we can take you from just relying on raw talent to actually just help you reach that next level. Again, if you're not bothered with any of this, you're probably not even watching the live stream. But the idea is just to plant that seed that if all of your major music stars and sports stars and even business people will do this, some of them shout about it, some of them don't. But if you really want to reach that top level, it is something to kind of keep in mind. So my name's Steve Pugh. If you catch this on YouTube or any of the other kind of platforms, please kind of like and subscribe. We do business and entrepreneurship content every week. And then hopefully, yeah, if you get in touch, I will speak to you soon. Okay. Okay. One of the things that I just mentioned now is that I record all of this content and it all gets saved onto YouTube, and YouTube is the world's second biggest search engine. And actually, when I'm looking to learn how to do stuff, I search on YouTube. And one of the big learnings that I've had in the past year is to start to create content which has the search terms that people look for. So you can have a very clever caption, but nobody will ever see it unless they actually kind of search for it. So I've been trying to learn more about how to create content which fits in with what people actually search for. And one of those actually is, what is a board meeting? So the truth is, for companies of all sizes, you have different tiers of management. You have people who actually kind of do the work. Then you have like your management level, and then above them, in kind of smaller companies, you will have owners. And then in some, probably most larger companies, but actually some smaller ones as well, you then have an extra tier where there'll be some sort of board that sit above that. So what is a management board? Well, your company management is how you look after the day-to-day operations of a company, so that it operates and basically does what it needs to do. So if you have a company that makes pens, you'll have the people that actually work the machines and make the pens. You'll have management that track KPIs and set in lean processes and stuff to actually kind of do it. And when you get above that, you have the ownership and also the board. Chances are they will be as part of the same kind of people. And what you're looking to do there, as I mentioned on the last point, it's how to gain access to extra knowledge and experience to help this whole machine, to help the business be more successful than if it just operated on its own. So what you're really looking to do is have a board of people, a group of people that are paid sometimes, sometimes not, to give their opinion on what they would do to help advise and grow the company. Does that make sense? So what often you have, and I'm on a few different boards where I will often work with the management team all the way through, but often in terms of a board meeting, it could be once a month, it could be kind of once a quarter. And what you essentially do is that the idea is that your management teams within a business will often write a board pack or a board paper, or just a really short summary of what's happened in that month or that quarter, things to look forward to, what's going to happen, any worries about stuff, but also hopes and dreams for the future, and also the cash and the financials, the performance of that month or that quarter, if that makes sense. And the idea is when that goes up to the board, it's to help guide and direct and basically decide what to do. Does that make sense? And within a board, you also have different tiers of people. So you will have executive members of the board and non-exec directors and members of boards. Non-exec members and non-exec directors, the non-executive basically means they don't do any work within the company, if that makes sense. As where an executive chairman or an executive whoever actually does stuff within the company. So if I was to be sales and marketing non-exec direct for a company, I might advise on sales and marketing what the team should do to actually do stuff. But actually, if that was an executive position, I would also actually do it. Does that make sense? But what I just wanted to do is often people don't know what a board meeting does or is, what to expect, how to prepare for it, and actually just what is it to give you more confidence when you start to get invited to them. As someone that sits on them, what often happens is that maybe a week before, but sometimes it's just a few hours before, you'll get sent a suite of information from all of the different divisional heads about, you know, everything I said before. What have they done? How are things going? Your job is to then read the information, go into the meeting, and then within the meeting, there will be an agenda for what people want to talk about. There could be some new hires, some different things, and generally that structure should stay the same every board meeting. And then you go in and you listen, and actually the whole point is that you ask challenging questions to learn and give advice and actually figure out as a group, how do you take that company forward? And one of the big learnings for me is that it's to have confidence in your own opinion. People pay you for a reason because they want you to give advice, that actually to sit there and stay quietly, you're not adding value to the team. So actually, you know, you're obviously there for a reason, but actually just in terms of what is a board meeting, in a most simple way, it's nothing more to be scared of than just a group of people that talk about the performance of the company and try and decide what to do. They just do it every quarter as opposed to every month. But I know that some people might not know what one is, and if they search for it on YouTube, hopefully now they might have an answer. But it's also nothing to worry about. If you are ever asked to write a board pack, keep it short, keep it snappy, just, you know, give people the core information, and they can always ask more if they want. But actually, it's that ability to communicate up and down a business to really help make decisions and authorize stuff, which should make the whole thing better. But actually, it's nothing to kind of worry about or that kind of thing as well. It's just something that companies do. Not everyone does. Some companies don't have boards. The owner decides what to do, or, you know, they just ask their friends and just wing it. But the point is, if you ever get asked to be on a board or become a non-exec, just, you know, this is what it means, and hopefully it might be some nice extra income for you. Or at least if you're asked to start reporting to the board, to be honest, there's nothing to worry about. It's just a case of do your job, do a good job, be open and honest, and then actually give feedback and advice and stuff when you're asked for it. And actually that's how a really great way to grow your business or career. If you catch this on YouTube, please kind of feel free to reach out. If you've got any questions or anything, just shout. And then likewise, if there are any other topics that you want me to cover, just let me know. Okay. Whew. So I don't know where in the world you're watching from, but here in the northeast of England, the rain was horrendous this morning. So I got soaked twice. Once when I first came in to set up for the day, and then also, I must admit, I did pop to McDonald's to actually get something to eat. I was really hungry this morning. But, you know, I'm allowed a cheat day as well. But actually, it's been a really kind of tough week. I was in a town called Blythe yesterday at the Offshore Renewable Energy Catapult doing some consultancy up there. And it's just how you fit everything into the week. But actually some really cool projects coming through, some really great feedback and stuff on different people. And I think that's the balance of where, especially on social media, people often talk about all the great stuff, but actually it's been a really long week. But actually I kind of made the commitment that when I can, I will always do the live streams. And for me, it's just practice and get things working and, you know, improve the processes so that in a few years' time, when we get to where I'd love to be, we're a little bit better than we were otherwise. So one of the most difficult tasks that most managers and MDs and CEOs will actually ever kind of come across, especially when you move to a new job and a new team, is to get people on board with what you want to do so that actually you can make change and make impact. I think you'll probably know that I love my sports analogies and I love to kind of link in different things from different parts of my career. But actually, it's so true, and I've seen it recently where you might have all the technical expertise to run brilliant teams and know exactly what the strategy should be and how to drive a sales pipeline and all the stuff that you want to do. But when you first actually get into the job, I think 70-80% of the actual job isn't just in the tasks to do. It's the human element of leadership, empathy, listening, that in a sports term, it's how to win the dressing room. That if you are a sports manager, you go in to manage Manchester United and the team turn on you, the players don't like you, especially there'll be one or two kind of key players, the Cristiano Ronaldos, the big personalities. If you don't win over the dressing room and get them behind your vision to work together, it'll be 10 times harder to actually make a difference. And what I wanted to do was just a really quick segment to kind of talk about this as just tips and tricks that if you're going to coach a new sports team or to manage a new team or you start a new job or you start a new business or take over someone else's business, there are things to do which will just help you be successful. And this, as a leader in a business, your job often isn't just to do the work yourself, it's to help other people do it more efficiently and make their world better so that the machine and the business itself becomes better. And when you kind of realize that it's not so much about you, this is really important, because the worst thing in the world is you go into a new job, you maybe clash with personalities with some people, it doesn't quite work out, and either they get fired or you do, but it doesn't have to be that way. So the first thing, it's to win hearts and minds. The most important thing with any transformation project is to get people on board with what you're looking to do, why it's good for them, why they should want to kind of support you. And the way to do that is to actually have a common goal and mission. Often one of the classic mistakes is that you go in and you just broadcast what you want to do onto a group of people, but then they don't feel part of the process. So genuinely what you should do, and it's the key part of any kind of consultancy, is to spend a good amount of time whilst you create your plan to listen, speak to different people, ask them what would they want, how would they do it, and at least they feel consulted in the process, that if you later say to them, actually, I don't think we can do that, but we can do this. What do you think about that? This is the challenge that we have at the moment. How should we solve it? But it's a very collaborative approach. What you're essentially trying to do is win people over, but actually, win them behind the same mission and goal that you all have, but you're not just telling them what to do. And I think that's really important to do that before you start to stamp your authority and basically get people to do what you want. Yes, of course, if you are in a position of authority, you can in theory do that and force people to do what you want them to do, but it probably won't end well in the long term. So actually this kind of process of it's the human softer skill element is something really important to do. And actually, if you lose people, and they turn against you, and this can happen really quickly, I think within a day, if not less than that, if you approach them badly, things can get 10x harder, 10 times harder. As soon as people put up their emotional walls and barriers and they don't like you, it doesn't matter what you say, or how well you say it, or how well you phrase it, or how much common sense it makes. If you do lose people, it's going to get so much harder, that it's in everyone's best interests to kind of just make it happen. And I know some people will say, well, actually, I'm the boss, they should just do what I tell them to do. That is true. But also, people do judge you on leadership, and it's the end result that not matters. You don't want the clash of styles. And relating to this, any really good leader or manager knows how to actually adapt their style to different people, different scenarios, and different personalities to get the best out of the team, that yes, you can know all the technical tools, tips and tricks to do stuff, but essentially you still need other people to do it. So it's how do you get the best out of your team? And that might actually mean changing the way that you communicate, changing the way that you share information, and just, changing your management style. But actually it's the most important thing to do. And then last but not least, it's actually looking at or knowing who are the key people that you have to influence. So when I mentioned before about board members, there will be one or two people on the board who are a lot more influential than other people. Or in your office or workplace or whichever, there will be a small number of people that have an artificially large amount of influence. They might be the cool kids, they might be the mouthy one, they might be the one who has most to lose through you coming in. But the point is, there will be these key people in every business, and what's really important is to identify who they are and make really good friends with them. Because actually the worst thing in the world is that if you ever feel like someone else, especially if they're more senior, is undermining you, it's a horrible experience. And I've kind of fallen foul of this in the past, where people I thought to my face were really nice, but actually in hindsight they weren't. It's just having a conscious awareness of actually things to do, that if you can win over and make friends with those kind of people, it's a really good start to help you get a really good result. And one great way to do that is actually to ask them for advice, show some vulnerability, but it shows that you value their opinion. And the hope is that that actually brings them to your side, and you look to kind of implement your change progress. I'd love to know genuinely, have you ever had a really good manager, a really bad manager? What was their style? How did it work? And this is true at sports teams. You see it in the press all the time, where there was one with Chelsea a few years ago where their best player at the time was a guy called Eden Hazard, and they obviously just disagreed. And often it's the manager that gets fired because the players are the people actually on the pitch. But nobody wants that. You don't want to lose your job, and you don't actually want this conflicts in the workplace. So actually, anything that you can do, but I would love to know your experience and stuff as well. As my last topic this week, I wanted to talk about different types of salespeople. And actually, in many cases, but not always, there are two main types. A client that I work with, this is how he describes them, that you have hunters who it's their job to go out and do new business development. And what that means is that it's to find customers and companies and clients that the company doesn't know exist. You have no contacts there. And how do you find people to sell to in new places, new areas, new geographies? And this is actually really hard to do. There are tips and tricks to do it. We obviously cover it all in the roadmap on things you can do. But this is often your desk research. You go into Google, you find out who exists in the marketplace that you could kind of talk to. But then you have to go on places like LinkedIn and try and find contact details, go into Google, try and find emails. And the idea is it's a really hard slog to discover opportunity, bring it in, and then you try and take that through your sales process to basically bring it through to win work. So that's one type of salesperson, and it's often for new business development or business development. That's what that means. Farmers are actually more a kind of account management. So account management is often when your company might have 20 clients, might have 50 clients. And account management is talking to them, listening to them, finding out if anything comes up, and then handling them when they want to make a purchase, and also trying to make it so that they don't leave. This, in my mind, is a lot easier because actually you've already got someone who's engaged and bought your product, which is a massive part of the problem. And then you're just talking to them and managing their process and managing their expectations to kind of keep them sweet, to hopefully bring in more work. But often what you find is that the people who are good at this and want to do this don't want to do that. Because actually, I don't know if it's an introvert, extrovert thing, but actually it's so hard to go out and find opportunities from scratch that you don't know exist, to find out who they are, who works there, what are the contact details, to reach out and then try and have a conversation with that person to start the process of your sales pipeline, to give them information and then kind of go through that process. you get people that love this and they hate doing that. I think most people that can, if someone can hunt in sales, they love the final kill at the end. That should kind of get in the sale. So I think hunters can still do account management, but I don't think all farmers can hunt. And just for different clients that I work with, this topic has come up again and again. That likewise, if you are looking to recruit salespeople for your business, really understand what is the animal that you want, and actually who and does the person that you're looking to recruit tick that box, because often people will always pretend, yes, I can do that, yes, I can do that. But what we're really looking to do, and it's something we teach on the course, it's all to do with the activity involved. So with a hunter, or actually to be honest, with either, what we'd really look to do is actually keep track of, okay, so if we need to bring in 100 new clients this year, looking at all of the lead actions, which is something we talk about in the course, which is actually, if we need to bring in 100 new clients, that might mean on average we need to speak to 4 people to get 1 to convert. So we need to speak to 400 people. But then to actually kind of get through and speak to 400 people, that might be 10 phone calls a day. So the idea is that your lead action, if you're a hunter, is to approach 10 people every day with the idea that that will roll through to sales. That approach is completely different to farmers who often just sit and wait and reach out. It's a much more slow, relaxed job, and there's nothing wrong with that. And you want to build longer term relationships with these people, but it's just it's a different type of person who is good at both. And just in terms of if you ever look to recruit salespeople, or if you know people within your business, have a think, which one of the two are they? You can teach the skills to, in theory, go out and hunt, but the hard work, the determination and stuff to actually do it, not many people do. And it was just something I wanted to kind of talk about. If you catch this on YouTube or any of the other platforms, please kind of feel free to like, subscribe and kind of get in touch. And I do love it when people do. At 9:37 on a Friday, I'm going to call it quits. I've got a lot of work to do. It's the weekend coming up. And actually, just it's been a really kind of long week, but baby steps, still making kind of progress. So my name's Steve Pugh. I'm the founder of something called the Roadmap MBA. We are a UK-based startup trying to bring free business education to the world, but also make business education accessible to 5 billion people. We're on a mission to basically help people build a better life for themselves, and we do that through online programming like this, but also a lot of offline stuff like books and stuff as well. So thank you for your time. Have a wonderful weekend. Have a great day. And if you ever need anything, please feel free to reach out. All right, cheers guys. Thank you. Bye-bye.